My name is Fahad. Our group number is 40. Our group member are Stami, Arjun, and Jeevan. On behalf of my group, I will really like to welcome all of you in our presentation. Our topic is environmental impact of air freight in perishable good logistics. Fast, efficient, and reliable air freight is the backbone of perishable goods logistics, but behind its speed lies a heavy environmental cost. Today, we explore how flying fresh produce around the world contribute to climate change. Introduction. Air freight enable global transport of perishable but is highly carbon intensive. This study explored its environmental impact, especially for out of season goods, and asked should supply chain managers seek greener logistic and must consumer reduce demands align with the Paris Agreement and UN SDG research they promote more sustainable flights choice. Air freight and environment. High carbon emission from transporting perishable like fruit, vegetable, and flowers. Focus on impact out of season good and role of supply chain manager and consumer in driving change. If I context and background. The problem air freights enable fast delivery out of season produce but comes with high CO2 emission, raising a speed with sustainability trade-off. Important. That's why it's matter. Air freight is one of the fastest method to transport goods, but it become to a huge environmental cost. However, we examine whether it's job of the logistic manager to find the greener roads or if consumer behavior can change the reduced demand for air freight goods. Air freight emits high CO2 for small loads, reducing its impact. It's circular for pro-environmental supply chain and global sustainability goals. How long has this been going on? I would say in the past 20 years, rising global trade and demand for years round for fresh produce have. Now I would like to call Jamie for the further slides, please.
Thank you. My name is Damilola. So I'll be talking on the research approach and the framework. When we are looking at the research approach, this approach actually evaluates the three pillars of sustainability. We have the environmental, we have the social, and we also have the economic. Talking about the environmental, this actually talks about how much carbon can be emitted by the air fry. And if we're talking about the social, what impact does air fry have on food security, such as access to fresh food in developing countries? Talking about the economic, how does this cost of switching to greener alternatives like sea fry or biofuel compare to the environmental benefits? Theoretical framework, which is the TBL framework, actually allow us to look at this problem from multiple perspectives. At the same time, allow us to assess the consequences of carbon emitter. Now, moving on to the data collection and evidence part one. When we're talking about data collection and evidence part one, I'll be talking about the air freight emission. At the same time, talking about the energy use. Talking about the air freight emission. Air freight emission is responsible for 15% of transport-related carbon emission. At the same time, despite handling only 1% of global freight volume, this is an inefficient in the system. So, it is making it not to be suitable choice for the environment. So moving on to the energy use, talking about the energy use. Aircraft actually consume a whole lot of energy during the takeoff, which directly leads to elevated carbon emission. This further emphasizes why fuel efficiency and energy saving innovations in aviation are so crucial for reducing its air freight and environmental impacts. Air freight transportation is poor in energy efficiency. We can find the source of data from IATA 2021 and FAO 2019. Moving on to the data collection and evidence part two. Talking about other forms of transport, we have this air fry, sea fry, we have the local procurement, at the same time we have the control atmosphere. I'll be talking about the difference between this air fry and sea fry. Air actually produces high significant carbon emission, which is about 500 gram per ton kilogram. Compared to sea fry, that create and produce much lower carbon emission, which is about 10 to 15 gram carbon per ton kilogram. And EF actually gained popularity due to the high demand to transport fresh or perishable goods and products across the countries, hence actually causing air noise pollutions to the environment. Compared to sea fry, which is more slower to transport perishable goods and products. It is not a suitable means of transportation of perishable goods. However, produce lower and noise pollution. Now, talking about the local procurement and control atmosphere. When we're talking about the local procurement, purchasing good locally can actually help to reduce the emission because shorter the transportations means the lower carbon footprint. And if we're talking about the cart is actually used to extend the shelf of perishable goods. But it is expensive, that's why most people doesn't use it. While it is a good solution to reduce spoilage, yeah, but it is not the most suitable options due to the high energy consumption. Now moving on to the SWOT. Talking about the SWOT, we are looking at the strength, we are looking at the weakness, we are looking at the opportunity, at the same time we are looking at the threats. Talking about the strengths, we are looking at the speed, we are looking at the global reach at the same time. But if you are moving to the weakness, we are looking at the high emission energy consumption at the same time. And if you are looking at the opportunity, we are looking at the new green technologies, e.g., maybe electric planes. And talking about the threat, changing consumer preference to suitable goods. And the SWOT analysis, however, help us to understand the strength and weakness of air freight and its alternatives. So now I'm going to pass on to my colleague, Arjun. Thank you.
Hi guys, so myself Arjun Rajendran. So I'm here to speak about the data analysis tools and approaches. It contains the SWOT analysis. The SWOT analysis helps us understand the strength and the weakness of air freight and its alternatives. And for that, the next one is the cost benefit analysis. A cost benefit analysis helps compare the cost of the sustainable transport options like sea freight to the environment benefits, such as lower CO2 emissions. This helps to determine if extra cost is justified by the environmental saving. And the next one is scenario modeling. The scenario modeling is helps to predict low future changes in the technology like plastics, electric planes, regulation like carbon taxes, and consumer behavior, such as greener choices, will affect air freight emissions in the future. Moving to the next slide, it's a potential solution and the future directions. So in this, we can see that it is two solutions. The first one is short-term solution. In the short-term solution, it's run optimizing air routes can reduce fuel consumption and promoting local sourcing can lower emission by reducing the need of the air freight. And the next solution is long-term solution. Long term, we need to invest in electric cargo planes and biofuels, which can drastically reduce CO2 emissions. Governments can also introduce carbon taxes to incentivize the adoption of green logics and encourage companies to switch to greener transport options. Moving to the next slide, the bigger picture and uncertainty. The bigger picture means addressing air freight emission requires looking at consumer behavior, global trade policies, and technological advancements. The future of air freight is intertwined with how regulation evolve and how quickly new technologies like electric planes are adopted. And next one is uncertainty and external factors. Future changes such as introduction of carbon taxes or the development of electric plane could change the landscape of air freight logistics, but it's difficult to produce exactly how this will affect emissions over time. Moving to the next slide, impact of consumer behavior. Consumer influence. Consumer awareness is the key. If consumers understand the environment cost of air freighting goods, they may choose to buy seasonal and local products, which don't require air freight. This consumer behavior shift can we reduce demand for air freight goods? Now, let me call my colleague Mr. Jeevan. Will speak more about the further slides. Thank you.
Thank you, Arjun. I'm Jeevan. I'm going to present the next slide. It is recommendations for supply chain managers. The first point is invest in green technologies. Using eco-friendly technologies in supply chain operations is becoming increasingly important to lower our carbon footprint. For example, switching to electric airplanes and biofuels can make a big difference in cutting greenhouse gas emissions, especially in air cargo. Embracing cleaner energy options not only helps companies stay compliant with environmental regulations, but also support their broader goals around sustainability and responsible business practices. And the second one is optimize operations. Improving how logistics and transportations are managed, especially flight routes, can go a long way in saving fuel and cutting emissions. By using smarter route planning and advanced tracking systems, companies can avoid unnecessary travel and make deliveries more efficient. This not only helps the environment but also brings down the cost. And the next point is encourage locals around sourcing and sustainable packaging. Local sourcing. Getting supplies from nearby sources helps reduce the distance goods have to travel, which means less fuel is burned and fewer emissions are released. It also makes the supply chain more reliable by depending on local partners. And the second is the sustainable packaging. Using eco-friendly packaging like recyclable or biodegradable materials can significantly reduce environmental harm. Why it matters? These practices do not only help the planet, but they also attract customers who care about sustainability. And the fourth one is collaborate with partners. Working closely with suppliers, manufacturers, and transport providers is a key to reaching shared sustainable goals. By teaming up, companies can exchange ideas, share useful technologies, and provide training to support more eco-friendly logistic practices. This kind of collaborations not only strengthens the supply chain but also sparks innovations. Everyone benefits from learning and growing together. And last point is monitor environmental impact. It's important for companies to keep a close eye on how their operations affect the environment. This means regularly measuring things like carbon emissions, energy use, and waste. With the help of data tools and reporting systems, business can understand their impact more clearly and spot areas that need improvement. By doing this, they stay on track with their sustainability goals and can make smarter, more informed decisions while also being transparent with customers, partners, and other stakeholders. Moving on to the next slide, it's about recommendations for consumers. This first point is buy local and seasonal. Try to buy foods that grown locally and in season. It's fresher, supports local farms, and cuts down on pollution from long distance shipping, especially by air. And the second point is awareness. Be aware of what you buy. Think about how out of season products affects the environment. Learning about the impact of your purchase can help you make smarter, more eco-friendly choices. The third is buy sustainable. Support sustainable brands. Look for companies that use environmentally friendly practices like green packaging, clean transportation. Supporting these brands encourage better business practices. And the fourth point is minimalizing the food waste. That's the main point. Cut down on food waste. Food wasting doesn't just waste money, it also means more energy used for production and transportation. Being mindful of how much you buy and use can really make a difference. And the last point is advocacy. Talk to other sustainable, yeah, sorry, speak up and share. Talk to others sustainable living. The more people know, the bigger the impact. Spreading awareness is a simple but powerful way to support the planet. And the next, moving on to the next slide, it's recommendations for government. Yeah. The first point is enact carbon taxes and green incentives. Government should implement carbon taxes to discourage high emissions transport methods and provide incentives for greener alternatives. Second one is invest in green technologies. Government should find the development of electric cargo, planes, and biofuels to make sustainable logistics more feasible. Third point is public-private partnerships. Government can work with private companies and researchers to encourage sustainable innovations in the logistic sector. Moving on to the next slide, it's about the conclusion. And in the conclusion, all in a nutshell, air freight is a super important for getting things around the world, but it comes with a big environmental footprint, especially in terms of carbon emissions. Sure, there are greater ways to move goods like shipping by sea or sourcing things locally. The catch is these often mean sacrificing speed or paying more. It's a balancing act. Mainly, there are two key points. It's a team effort, and it's a innovate for a greener future. While talking about the green team effort, air freight is other often the go-to for logistics folks. To truly lessen its environmental impact down the line, everyone needs to chip in, the companies managing supply chains, us as consumers, and even governments. And while talking about innovate for a greener future, the path to more sustainable air freight involves getting smarter with new green technologies and adopting practices that help us meet our global environmental goals. That's the real key. Moving on to the next slide, it's the references. These are the references which we used, like the Banerjee Environmental Responsibility, United Nations Paris Agreement, Food and Agriculture Organization. These are all the references. Thank you.